Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Thanks so much for dropping by. This is part two in our international banking series. We get a lot of questions about how we bank. In fact, it is the second most popular question that people ask. So, we told you in the first one, which if you haven't seen it, just take a look at the video before this, and it's what we do in the U.S. Now we're going to tell you how we coordinate that with what we do in the Philippines. So let's talk about it.
Why'd you have to go? I guess this world's too slow for you. I think there's beauty in the gray, the cold, but you just want the gold. And there's no way I can beat it, cause I got no chance when it comes to her. She got the glitter and the fame, and I just wasn't enough.
Okay. Couple of things here. First off, we are not financial advisors. Please seek expert advice. Number two, these are based on our experience. We've been moving money in and out of the Philippines for 10 years. Okay? With that being said, this is what works for us. And we threw in a lot of stuff and a lot of examples that may not apply to you. And how we do it may not apply to you at all. There are alternatives to what we do. And it all boils down to what works for you to accomplish the basic concept that we're going to go through here. All right? For those of you that use different methods, great, as long as it works. That's all that matters. Now, let's get on with where we were. We've now told you about how we bank in the U.S. and given you examples of it. Okay? And there are specific reasons that we bank that way in the U.S., none of which really matter. Okay? Secondly, keep in mind that there are some requirements and there are some different people. If you're a tourist, getting your money is totally different than if you're living here, sort of. All right, and we'll go into that and give you some examples. But let's take a look at the first part. How are you going to receive your money here in the Philippines? Well, many of you or some of you that are coming as a tourist, you're going to just use your U.S. ATM or carry cash. One or the other. You're going to go to cash exchangers, money changers, whatever. Okay? But either way, you're going to be using your U.S. ATM. All right? Or you may be, if you have a bank account here in the Philippines, be using a Philippine ATM card. Either way, we're going to go into that next. There are cash app services. You may receive cash through Wise, Remitly, Wells Fargo, things like that. You may have a Philippine bank. Now, there's some requirements for that. And then there are other methods. But we stick to what we know, what we actually use. So, let's talk about the ATMs first. ATMs, the truth of them. Well, you know what? They can be limited. And when I say they can be limited, I mean, honestly, limited. The location of ATMs, the safety of ATMs, all right, how much you can withdraw. We've seen people run into numerous issues, okay? They may need more money than they can withdraw from the ATM on a daily basis. So, they're going to have to wait a couple days to get enough. ATMs running out of money during peak times, paydays, weekends, busy areas, tourist spots, deep in the provinces. ATMs don't always work. They're out of money. They have no connectivity to the internet. All right? Finally, card skimmers. Card skimmers are prevalent in the Philippines, just like they are in the U.S. My daughter's been card scammed in the U.S. twice. All right. And these were both in high end area, not high end, but, very nice areas. Okay. All right. You can, and you know something, you can go on YouTube, you can do your searches, and you can see all the horror stories of how your card got scammed and then in turn your bank account. The sad thing is that in certain places, there are people that will be watching the ATM, watching you withdraw money, and then you become a target. Don't like using them in certain public areas. I like using them. Well, we don't use them. But if I were, I can't say we don't use them. We actually do. We do use ATMs. And when I say we use them, every couple of months, we take both ATM cards, we go to the mall, we use the ATM right there at our bank in the mall and withdraw a little bit of cash just to keep the cards active. A lot of the banks here, if you don't use your card in for 12 months, 14 months, something like that, they just, it just gets disassociated. All right. Nothing wrong with ATMs. Just be cautious. Very, very cautious. We know people where this is the way they prefer to get their money. And when I say that, that's in a combination of different things. We have one set of friends, literally, they keep hardly anything and use hardly anything in their Philippine bank account, and they just use the ATM on a daily, weekly type basis. We have other friends who fund their bank account and then use the ATM rather than keeping cash around or rather than going to the bank. Boom. Cash apps. We recommend Wise. And we only recommend them because they are very competitive on the exchange rates, and they are very good when it comes to how fast they work. But you need to do your homework. Look at the fees. There are others. And then I will caution you one thing. The laws change with money laundering safeguards. And I can give you a perfect example. There was a time I used many years ago. I used Wells Fargo. And Western Union. And I never liked Western Union, especially sending money overseas. I just didn't trust them. I don't trust anybody. Okay? Then Western Union instituted some changes because the federal government in the U.S. said, you're going to have to comply with this because of anti-money laundering and terrorism. Well, they wanted too much personal information. Wise, I was able to set up much differently. And there are other cash apps, all right? So you just pick what you want. We just recommend Wise. Opening a bank account. This has always been an arguable, debatable position here on YouTube. I can tell you that it used to be you could walk into a bank, show them your passport, and open a bank account. I'm not saying that doesn't still exist. I am saying that is not the regulations pursuant to the Philippines. For a bank to open an account, you're supposed to be able to present a passport. You're supposed to be able to present your ACR card. You have to have an ACR card. You have to provide documentation of a valid address, a utility bill, a copy of your lease, something like that. All right. Finally, they want 2 passport-sized photos or they did it the last time we opened an account. That may have changed. I don't know. But there's other documentation sometimes at different banks. So keep that in mind. But the real important thing here is you're not going to, in most instances, not going to be able to open that bank account up without that ACR card. So you've got to be here for, I don't know, like 59 days before you can even apply for your ACR card. Okay? And all bank accounts supposedly have to be opened in person. But we know this is the Philippines. Sometimes things slide. Sometimes there are exceptions to the rule, I guess is the best word for it. All right, so you open a bank account. What do? So what we do, we open a bank account, and we have, just talking about our primary, all right? We have a U.S. dollar account and a peso account. We do this for a couple of reasons. First off, you can actually fund both of these with a U.S. check. They're going to do a conversion from dollars to pesos on the peso side, and they're going to have straight U.S. dollar amount on the U.S. dollar account. All right. We actually have friends that fund their bank account solely on U.S. checks. That's it. They go to the bank once a month, they write a check, and like 7 days later, that money's in their account. So it just refunds, So think of it like this. If you have 5,000 and you want to get 5,000 into pesos, then keep a balance of 10,000. That way you're always 1 month ahead. But that's how some of our friends do it. Then you want to move the dollars to the pesos. Now, with our bank, we fund by wire. And this doesn't work for everybody, but for us, we get 5 international wires a month for free. Very rarely use more than one. We always fund monthly. Okay? So, because the vast majority of it goes either into our peso account, well, actually, almost all of it goes into our peso account, all right? And then we divide that into savings and checking. Now, we don't know what will work best for you. There's another blogger here in Angeles that are friends of ours. They fund their entire year once a year. Once a year, they move all the money for their entire yearly budget to the Philippines. And that works for them. What works for you, I don't know. I really and truly don't. But that's what we do. Now, how do we access these funds? Well, you've got your Philippine ATM card. You're going to get an ATM card. It took us like 2 weeks for our ATM cards to come in. There are no temporary ATM cards with our bank. You can go to the bank and withdraw money, which is what we do. And I'll tell you why in a minute and why we do that. You can transfer to GCash. I can literally go into our bank online app here in the Philippines, and I can just move it to GCash. All right. I could move it to a different e-wallet, or I could send it to a money changer type site like Hillier or Wells Fargo or something like that. But let's go back to the second thing. We go to the bank. Why do we go to the bank? We go to the bank for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's at the mall. So who doesn't need to go to the mall at least once a month? We do, all right? Even if it's to go to a restaurant at the mall. We end up at the mall a couple times a month. Number two, and this is more important than that, small bills. You see, we go to the bank and they know us, but we don't get any special treatment. All right. The bank manager knows us. We chit chat. If there's something out in left field, she helps us. But normally, we're simple people, just like you. All right. So we go to the mall and we want to withdraw X amount of pesos, our monthly allowance, say. Out of that, they're going to give it to you all in big bills. We don't want that. We don't want big bills. And that's because getting change is a good excuse for them people that want change to skim you. Don't ever think that you can give a trike driver a 500 peso bill for a 100 peso fee. They're just going to tell you up front, I'm sorry, sir, I don't have change. So we tell them how we want the money when we go get it. I want this much in thousands, this much in 500s, this much in 100s. We don't get 50s and 20s. We do get 20 peso coins because we give them to the kids, all right, in the province. But that's why we go. So we just tell them that, and then they're going to make you wait. So then what do? We say, we're going to lunch. We'll be back in an hour or two. We're going to go do some shopping. And when you come back, it's ready to go. You get home, you put whatever you're going to put in your wallet, and the rest you put in your safe. Okay? Everybody has a safe. Every rental has a safe. I don't know. If you don't have even one of the smaller safes, get one. All right? And then make sure it's secure that they just can't carry it out. That's how we access it and why. Okay? Now, as I said, and I've been sick, I've had a cold, so I apologize, but look, in your comments, we've gotten comments that there are other solutions, and there are. People using GoFi, people using different banks, people using other methods for two-factor verification. Look, all we're saying is, we're not saying do it the way we do it. We're saying these are the concepts. These are the items you need to cover. You don't need to have a T-Mobile phone for two-factor verification, but have a method to get it. You don't have to do it this way or that way, but have a method to do it. Now, we also get other comments about, the Philippines has a 500,000 peso limit on being insured. And that's true. They do. We bank at the largest bank in the Philippines. All right. It's never defaulted, even during the 3 actual default periods of banks where the government had to step in over the last 40 years. I don't know what else to tell you. If you're going to keep money and save money, all right, if you have a Filipino partner that doesn't have a U.S. account to ship that money back into when they reach that point, well, where are you going to keep it? In your mattress? I don't know. Right now, we don't feel that the political stability and the economic stability in the Philippines is that negative. But certainly you could comment on that as well. Finally, we'd like to tell you that we did this to present all the concepts, not telling you how to do it, not telling you do it this way. The concepts, all right? Those are the most important parts, that you cover the issues. Simple, basic, but it works for us. Otherwise, comment below. Thanks so much. We hope you have a great day.